All
Take
right.
your lead responsibilities.
Thank you. All right, we're recording now. If our SAS is any indication of how things are going to go. So, like I said in the agenda, which please put your name in there, I put a GIF, and that GIF, long story short, is a dumpster fire. Because it feels like everything is a dumpster fire right now. Wherever you are, things just are stressful and not good. Hopefully, that's not the case here. Even though we are going to be under somewhat of a time crunch in the next 2 weeks to get something out, I feel like we're going to be okay. So with that, the plan is we are going to do a virtual event. I think everyone was in agreement with that. The one thing that was up in the air was whether we want to do the new contributor workshop at the same time as a current contributor workshop. I think we don't. I think we do the new contributor workshop Sunday. We just record it. Whoever can show up, please show up. If not, it's going to be recorded, and then we take the outcome and the lessons learned from recording all of that and then polish it up to re-record it sometime in the summer, and we use that and continually update that. Based on a lot of conversations from a lot of different people and a lot of different mediums, I think that is a very nice happy middle ground, and it gets us where we want to go. Does anyone have any thoughts or opinions?
+1.
Let me just clarify one thing.
Sure.
We're still doing a virtual contributor summit, even though we're going to have a contributor summit and theoretically whenever things get scheduled. I thought we were just doing the new contributor workshop.
I think go ahead.
With current content, we decided to give people the opportunity to give their talks, especially the ones that are kind of time critical because they were going to be outdated in 6 months already. We're not sure how people will respond, but at least we want to keep the slot for them.
The other thing that I was thinking is if we do what talks we have virtually, we wind up letting EU be more of a SIG face-to-face time rather than a lot of content. And I think just from conversations outside of Summit staff, that seems to be desired.
Like, you talking like SIG inter or intra working groups kind of
Face
thing?
like, were you in Barcelona where they had the SIG face? So it was
No.
So it was SIGs getting together in a room doing things.
Okay, got it. Thank
So
you.
like SIG Cluster Lifecycle had a room for like 4 hours and did a bunch of stuff. SIG UI had a room and it was very small, but still we did a bunch of stuff. There was a release meeting there, like a live release team meeting, and that was kind of fun and it was streamed. But like the idea is EU is still used for hallway track. Sorry, this like Amsterdam
Virtual.
is used for hallway track, working meetings, that sort of thing. And then we still have the social and the get together.
There might still be some content, but it'll probably be much lighter than what was originally planned.
Yeah, or like updated versions of what is planned now, maybe. I don't know.
We were thinking of reopening the CFP, but maybe we just give out less slots. I don't know. Because I mean, it's gonna be August, so.
Hold on, Dawn?
I'm sorry. Will you still do new
Deb,
contributor?
sorry.
You're good. New contributor workshops, or would you switch to just do current since you're trying to record new contributor and make it online now?
The goal is that new contributor workshops will be solely online. So that the rooms that we have for new contributor in Amsterdam, we could then turn into more rooms for face-to-face time. And then after Amsterdam, like looking at Boston and beyond, we can reassess how many rooms we need for what. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Deb, how locked in on Boston space are you right now? Just out of curiosity.
We have space set aside right now. If we're going to change the request, I need to know in the next week-ish.
I don't see the request changing.
Okay.
No, yeah. I mean, we're always overrun with people wanting to be in Contributor Summit even without the new contributor one. Right?
Yeah.
We could just host more people then.
Exactly.
Great. Perfect. We have space then. I'll have an update in the next week with exact locations.
Okay. Amanda pointed out, I think it would be still beneficial to have a new contributor workshop track in EU. The ecosystem is moving fast, and I bet we'd attract another round of new contributors by August. To clarify that point, the plan is that once we have this, the new contributor workshop recorded from March, we're going to look at it and then re-record it later on in the summer, and people will be able to take that updated content. Part of the what we've noticed between running different new contributor workshops is the content itself doesn't change much. In fact, right now, the new contributor workshop content is just slightly updated from, what was it, San Diego's. So if we had recorded the new, or actually I think it is, if you go and watch the new contributor workshop from San Diego, there's not actually going to be much of a change between San Diego and what will be the new contributor workshop online. It's just going to be a little bit more polished and refined.
And Wi-Fi.
And Wi-Fi.
I think that's the main reason why we're not using those videos now, right? Like I would rather be using those videos now. If we didn't have such a problem there, I think that would be the intent. We would have already done this.
Yeah, and I think the idea is that by doing the new contributor workshops online, we can do them a lot more often than just twice a year.
Dang, yes, like once a
So
month or
and
something.
there are just too many like Chris mentioned, just way too many logistical challenges associated with doing it in person. Like they didn't get the CLA side, and then it's a big old waste of time. The Wi-Fi doesn't work. There are too many challenges with doing it in person, I think.
Yep. So this
Yep.
this will move all the new contributor tracks online. In like ContribX wise, this was something that was already being discussed, and kind of the target of the new contributor workshop was to make it all be like accessible online. We're using the fact that things have been postponed and things are kind of in flux to just kind of rip that band-aid off, because it makes a whole lot of sense. We're going to have to do it online anyways. Let's just do it. Whew. Okay, so we were kind of jumping around, but I just want to say I think we're going to be fine. Puya, can you do current content?
Yeah, the main open question there still was just, did we decide to stay in the EU time zone? Because if yes, then we're ready to send out everything. If not, we would need to change our communication towards speakers. I don't remember.
I personally, no, that's fine. I think it was in flux. I personally think we just leave it in the Amsterdam time zone, whatever time zone that is, because I still want it to be, even though like we're going to be doing an Amsterdam contributor summit, it just makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Right. Does anyone have any strong objections to that? I know it is going to be slightly too marginally inconvenient for those people on the West Coast.
I think we might need to adjust some of the speakers around. I don't know what the
because like align them.
I mean,
properly?
not marginally. Like 9-10 o'clock here is like the middle of your night.
I know.
So
definitely.
people would be getting up at like 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning to present if they're on the West Coast.
So
I don't think we'll get a lot of the way.
Hold on. Part of we need to decide the time zone is so that we can then reach out to all those current contributors and go, would you still be able to do this online? We're also going to move it's still going to be in the EU time zone. So when are you comfortable presenting? And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Puya, we were going to provide an option to pre-record a talk.
I can add that.
Okay.
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought that was in there somewhere.
I didn't know about this, but I'll just add this so I don't forget.
Sorry, I actually thought that was something that was
it's a good idea.
Maybe it's just off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Maybe I just forgot there was so much back and forth on this.
Yeah.
The one other thing with the pre-recording the talk is you usually still want the speaker to be around to help answer questions.
So, yes, like the virtual Q&A thing I think is important, but if it's like 2 a.m. their time, on the West Coast or whatever, Could we not have some asynchronous Q&A that way somehow? Some kind of collection of questions maybe for the presenter?
I like the idea of async Q&A for those that don't want to do it. Like if originally what I think we were going to try and do was for the West Coasters that are more than marginally inconvenienced, try and shift it so they're all speaking at the end of the day so it's more their morning.
Mhm.
But if that's not possible, but we still want them to, do a talk, that's a point of, all right, let's record their talk so they can still give it, and maybe they're okay with an async Q&A.
Yeah, I would love the idea of virtual, but I know that like we need to have an option out there still for those people. Like virtual Q&A. So like huge +1, Bob. I didn't mean to run that over. My bad.
Oh, it's all good.
And
So
we might get lucky. I might be able to rearrange some things because if we can put the European speakers up first, the Eastern time zone speakers up second, maybe we can get most of the people in something that is reasonable for them.
that is what I'm hoping.
Mhm.
Tim points out most of the work, in his opinion, from the new contributor workshop is in-person issue resolution. People commit the day and are successful at the end. If 10 minutes in they're stuck without help, the new contributor workshop didn't happen for them. So this is something that we've been talking about with the virtual one. The idea is we will still have, so for this one specifically, there will still be a bunch of staff around. There will be the person that is actually doing the speaking and like teaching for each section, and then the rest of the staff will be around still helping with questions. We should be able to help a fair amount of people if they have issues through like Zoom and maybe like separate help desk, like breakout rooms. Part of the problem is, well, I shouldn't say part of the problem. A problem that we haven't figured out how to mitigate is once we take the new contributor workshop and do more of it, like take it as you want online class. I still think, and what we have talked about is throughout the year, we offer it like 4 times a year. And then there is a staff that does the same thing. We have people that will give the talks, and then we have people that can help out, or the talks are just pre-recorded, they watch the recordings all together, and then you have staff that helps. But as Bob will very quickly point out, one thing that we have noticed with people that attend the new contributor workshop is if they haven't already had a Kubernetes contribution, they actually don't stick around and become contributors. Bob, I see you unmuted. Go ahead.
Okay, so I actually ran I looked at essentially dev stats for every release and looking over, basically took the GitHub handles and things that I knew of the people that registered. And almost, I will say almost 100% of people that were not involved in the project beforehand had some issue. PR basically wasn't dev stats. They did not move on to do anything. If they did, if they had even a small amount of engagement, they would.
So that's not, I am not.
That's not a problem for us to solve right now, right?
No, that's
Okay.
not a problem to solve right now. The thing that I'm just bringing up is I think no matter which forum we do the new contributor workshop, we are going to run into issues. So I think the goal at this point should be to make the new contributor workshop accessible to more people to try and cast a wider net so we can try and get more contributors.
So to Bob's point, some kind of, quote, pre-sales, kind of pre-marketing, pre-engagement, we'll call it, is needed for NCW attendees, it seems like, right? Like we should have, lack of a better term, a funnel for NCW, right? Like we're trying to cast this wide net of contributors. That funnel has to start, and then NCW is kind of where they get their badge, basically, right? Like that is something to think about from a ContribX perspective, but not here right now. Yeah, exactly. That's my 2 cents on it. Moving on.
Okay.
But that's wild. That's a good stat to pull, Bob. That's crazy. That it's that uniform too.
Let's move on. We're bouncing around. I'm at least gonna try and stick to the script. It's gonna fail. Deb, CNCF stuffs. How's life? Hopefully it's calmed down.
It's good. It's good. I don't have any updates right now. We are still working through the reschedule dates. As soon as those are confirmed, I will ensure everyone here knows, and then we can talk about the things that need to be adjusted accordingly. I made some notes just as we were talking, so I remember in the future, and we can come back and visit those once we have it finalized. But if you need anything from me before then, just let me know.
Would we talk to you about requesting / snagging a bunch of the Zoom CNCF webinar account things?
I can look into it for you, yeah.
Okay. I figured between you and Kim, we have the CNCF webinar powers.
I actually have a ticket open for that right now with Amy. So
Oh, perfect.
well, not for this one, but for another thing. So I can just add on to that one, I think, at this point, unless you want me to open a separate one.
We should also actually be like between ContribX, steering, and some of the other ones. I'm not overly concerned about us exhausting our supply of Zoom licenses.
Okay. Then let's just keep it as something to keep in mind, but not overly worry about.
I'll figure out the process at the very least.
Sounds good. Reg. Navroon.
Hi everyone.
Hey.
No updates, but I have some questions like after we decide on the dates and which tracks we will have. So we have to vet our options as to whether completely discard the existing reg and start afresh, or send emails to the existing attendees whether they're interested for the new dates. If yes, keep them. If no, cancel and open the form again. We still do have space in the active track. Otherwise, we are sold out on other tracks.
Okay. So from a reg perspective, I don't think we close reg. I don't think we discard reg until after the virtual event, because we want to have all of the, like, that attendee list. We're going to be emailing them when sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. That stays. The list stays. I'm just saying we'll not consider them.
Yeah.
That question.
After the virtual event, I think we are going to reopen reg. Like, it has to, essentially after the virtual event, we're starting fresh.
Okay.
At that point, I would still say we email everyone that had already registered first and say, here's the new dates, like, you get first dibs, here's all the stuff, please go re-register. But I don't want to assume that just because they registered for an event in March, they are going to attend an event in August. I think we do have to start that over. But again, everyone that had previously registered should get the first email out.
How is the CNCF handling the STAB for KubeCon registration?
Yeah. We're keeping the same registration form because they are not doing a virtual event prior to Europe. So it'll just be like the Europe event. So folks can cancel or change their reservation based on that. I think y'all's situation is a little bit different because if you're not doing new contributor workshop in person, that kind of affects a lot of the people that are currently registered. And I also think there might be some confusion if we don't. I think if you're going to leave the current registration form for the virtual event, that we need to change it and update it and market it out as this is now the virtual event registration. And then I'll start right now a new registration form, which would be for just current contributors to go to the in-person event in wherever we decide to postpone it to. So that's ready to go as soon as we announce it. And then you can kind of market it as two different things, because I think if you leave it open as one thing that you're not going to close until the virtual is over, I feel like there's going to be a lot of confusion of like, I registered, but it was for the old and then the new one, and which one do I register? I think there's confusion to be had. Does that make sense?
That makes sense to me. I feel like this dovetails really well into comms. So Amanda, you have no idea what needs to be done, but you are mostly around until April 1st, and thank you. I think after this meeting, we need to figure out what we are sending to all of the current registrants. Unfortunately, I don't think we can send that until after content team gets ACTs or NACs from the speakers. So I would, Puya, tell me if this makes a little bit of sense. If you and Yang and Taylor can blast out everyone by, say, or get like the majority of acts by Wednesday. I know this is putting a lot, like, we need to time box this in some way, shape, or form, and last week was awful.
Definitely. I mean, we're sending it out tonight, but yeah, we can try to push for like, hey, please be fast in answering.
Right.
So what if you combine the two announcements? If we're doing the reg forms, if you take this week for acknowledgements, we most likely won't announce the in-person date change until early next week. You could send an email out to everyone then and be like, hey, we're doing a virtual event. It's happening on these dates. If you already registered on the reg form, you're good to go for that event. We're also doing it in person. Here's the new reg form from that. Join now. You can sign for both. You can sign up for one, kind of a thing, instead of dividing it, because I think that also causes confusion. That also gives your speakers time to acknowledge things, and then people see that they're not just confusion over dates. Like, I think a lot of confusion is going to come once we announce new dates, because people are going to be like, I'm confused if there's something on the same dates or different dates or that. So kind of streamlining it.
So I'm a little confused. Let me make sure I get this. We send out a single comms that says, hey, or single like email or blast, whatever, that goes, here is the old existing registration form. We are converting that to a virtual only event. If you have already registered, you will get details on said virtual event. Here is the new registration form for the eventual in-person contributor summit in Amsterdam. It is current contributor only. If you are interested, that is a completely new separate registration process. Go over here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think at that same time, though, we have to say something like, we're moving the new contributor to online. Like, we'll have to say something. Otherwise, it feels very weird.
Yeah. That I completely agree there too.
Definitely.
So maybe it's from, I don't know if we have, or I can't remember because I'm not on my computer now, because now I have to go walk my dog and my daughter to entertain them. But
You're the best.
So do we need to announce something just like in general on the Kubernetes blog that from maybe contributor or the SIG that just says we're, doing, or maybe it's at the same time that says like, we're announcing new contributor tracks are online or something like that?
Yeah.
Hey, Brooklyn.
I think we do that. I can do my usual write up a skeleton idea, and then you can tell me I'm awful at doing it, and then we can kind of move from there. But I have an idea, like the message that should be sent, and I like the idea of combining comms because I don't know, it streamlines things.
Yeah, I agree there.
Sorry. Are you still going to do registration reviews for the virtual summit? Or are you going to open that to any current and any new?
That'll be open.
Chris?
Do we have any kind of limits on these Zoom webinar accounts that we know of?
I don't know specifically. I do know that I've moderated webinars that have had like 300 people in them.
Right. So
if I recall, it's 700.
Yeah, there's some upper limit somewhere.
I feel like if we run into that, we did something right.
And then we still have the YouTube stream, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Just a
Hey,
split
Chris, if you're following up on the Zoom accounts, can you add to the ticket that we need to know the upper limit, because we should be very transparent. Like, this is what it holds. We run into this a lot with the just Zoom craps out.
Yep, will do.
Good to know. All right, so Amanda, I will get with you later today. We'll with some sort of skeleton message, and then we can just hammer it out together if you were around.
Yeah, after between 1 and at like 1 o'clock, or between 1 and 4 is best.
Okay. That's
Or I can, work on it and then and we can talk tomorrow.
Pacific, right?
Yeah, Pacific.
All right. So, good. Perfect. All right. Yes, Bob.
So for the accounts that are owned by the Kubernetes project, the upper limit for each account is 300.
Ooh. Okay, good to know.
We have the middle tier, it looks like. The Enterprise Plus one will support 1,000.
Yeah, I don't think we have that.
But we can push people to the YouTube live stream.
Right.
Yep.
How do we?
How do we split
Would-
that?
Then they won't
Would
get
we-
Q and
so-
they won't
right.
get Q and
They won't
A.
get Q&A. They won't get.
So hold on. So as far as Q&A goes, we can open up the YouTube channel for chat.
You cannot
just
paste in links though.
You cannot paste in links though.
We could just
Which
tell them to
is-
join a channel in Slack.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think a Slack channel is
Yeah.
better.
Do it like office hours.
Right.
It's exactly what I
Yeah,
was
that's
thinking.
exactly what I was thinking was the office hours.
Perfect. Okay, cool.
So
But there,
Go
so still, there's got to be
You
some
gotta
kind of
split it somehow.
delineation of how am I, what am I registering for? Do I need to register for, the Contributor Summit? No, not necessarily. Like, do I need to be on Zoom? No. Should I be on Zoom if I have a question? Yes. But how do we figure who goes where, right? How's the registration process for who goes where?
okay. I think especially for this first scramble, I think
Free for all?
I think we're screwed either way.
Okay.
think
no, I'm
I-
just
I
I'm
think
trying to figure out how we announce
between-
it.
I think between if you want to watch on Zoom and go through Q&A, or if you want to watch on YouTube and then chill in Slack, rather than tell people what to do, we give them the options.
Okay.
Because then it's you can hop on Zoom or you can hop on YouTube and just watch if you want to Chromecast it. And then if you don't want to Chromecast it and you want to chill in the Slack channel, we just give them the options. And then
I would do it just like they do office hours, where the people who are presenting and the people leading the event are on Zoom. Everyone else is on YouTube. All of
Okay.
the questions are in Slack. And we could create a dedicated Slack channel for it. I think it'll be chaos if we're yeah, just do whatever.
Yeah.
Because Zoom's
No
upper limit gets
hierarchies.
hit, and then weird things are going to start happening, right? That's inevitable.
And we need to be consistent with people. This is what you need to do if you want to attend the event. I
Yeah,
think.
we don't have 3 classes of people suddenly.
I'm good with that.
Will you require people to register in that CVent form again then, or no?
No.
Anyone can attend.
Exactly. Anyone can attend.
Okay.
If we're truly going the full-on office hours, anyone can attend, anyone can watch, anyone can hop into the Slack channel. The one thing is, with the Zoom Q&A, with the Zoom webinar format, we would have a much easier Q&A moderation. I feel like we are going to have to make sure that there are people in Slack with moderator powers that can do stuff. That's the only thing I just want to point out.
Wait,
I'm good with this though. I'm a moderator.
Like a Slack moderator, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we'll need to kind of hone our copy into, I don't know, markdown skills and HackMD.
Yep.
It's gonna be chaotic.
Again, no matter what, I think it's gonna be rough, but I think we're gonna be just fine.
It's good. We're fine.
So NCW, Allison cannot make this one. She'll be around for tomorrow's NCW meetings. Do we separate NCW from current content? I still think the answer is yes, because then the people that are speaking and presenting for new contributor can attend the current contributor content. That's a win.
It also means we can probably get more helpers with the new contributor workshop.
And more helpers for the current contributor content.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know definitely Josh and Allison were both asking if they could attend current content. And
Yep.
not be like.
So I think the answer to this is yes, we do it on Sunday. We open it up just like we're going to do the current contributor content. And then, yep, re-record it in the summer after we iterate on it. And then, yep, the goal is to move it all to new contributor solely online.
Do we have any kind of metrics on like what we think we need as far as people to helpers kind of deal? We ever thought about that in the past? I'm wondering. If not, that's fine.
So it hasn't been thought about, and it's kind of hard to provide metrics. We can look at office hours and meet our contributors for an example. Actually, office hours makes a little bit more sense. Office hours gets around 40 to 50 people streaming each session. And between the people on the panel, which is between 4 and 6, and random people that hop up on the Slack channel that are watching, but, helping, we manage just fine.
So that's 3 people on the call? 4?
Between 4 and 6.
Okay.
It depends on the month.
So we'll say 10 to 1.
Sure.
Okay.
But I mean, this is going to be the difference between current and new. I feel like new is going to need more people helping out, whereas current is going to be a little bit more self-organizing. Because the other thing is office hours, as far as the format goes, is, hey, ask us questions. We're going to answer your questions. Whereas in this case, it's very much, standard presentations with Q&A after. So I think the 10 to 1 isn't going to need to be 10 to 1.
Yeah, it's probably excessive, but I just want to get some kind of metrics around that, so we have an idea. Like, if 1,000 people are going to show up to this thing, we're probably going to need 5 people helping, something like that.
Right. All right. So meet and greet and unconference are kind of on hold. Meet and greet was never going to happen virtually, and I think unconference is going to be difficult to organize. So let's just put them on hold until we're looking at the new in-person event. D&I feel like we have an opportunity to reach out to people that can't typically travel anyways, travel bans aside. So we should try and advertise in wherever channels we can to get more people, especially underprivileged people, into that new contributor workshop.
So I will say that from a disability perspective, a lot of my friends are saying I can finally actually participate in stuff. And like, I am a person that is lucky enough to be disabled, but like the upper half of me is disabled, not the lower half of me in any way. And like, I'm lucky enough to be able to attend some of these things. But yeah, a lot of people are like finally really excited that they can actually participate in mainstream stuff. So yeah, I'm 100% with getting that word out there.
Cool. So do we add something in comms for that? Or just assume it's okay,
probably not this time around.
Gets it. Yeah.
I think
people know that it's virtual and they can attend, right? It's
in the comms it will definitely say that it's online.
All
workshop.
Are welcome. Yeah.
All are welcome. It's remote. Please attend. The only thing is, I think, Kim, you have access to those Slack channels that Wendy advertises in. Once we get the comms out, could you also put them in there just to make sure that everyone there knows?
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's definitely worth reaching outside of our traditional channels to hit some more people who are more in some of the underrepresented communities or disability communities and things like that just aren't in our normal channels.
Yep.
I'm all for this, but I also want to be a little realistic about the date. Like, it's March 16th. We're talking about announcing the 23rd. Yeah, and then it's the 30th. Like, there's just not a lot of time So like, I'm all for everything, but I just want to make sure people are realistic about, you know, what we're asking very last minute for people.
Yeah, no, I'm not expecting like some deluge of people, but yeah, like I want to reach out to people, like have some sentence or two that I could copy and paste to reach out to different Slack channels, chat rooms, and stuff like that, if that makes sense.
My personal,
yeah, totally.
Yeah, my personal expectation is we get half the people we had registered. I expect less people. You don't think so? I think we're going to get half the people.
I think it'll be a quarter, like a quarter to a third tops.
But I'm not planning for a deluge of people. Sorry, what, Puya?
Doing online betting on that.
Yeah, right. The next time I see you in person, I'll buy you lunch. You'll forget by then. This is why I'm making the bet.
Yeah, but I mean, I have no unrealistic expectations. It's more like that's more the reason why I want to try and get as many people in here as possible, and also like advertise that this is online, so there are no restrictions. You can, please show up if you want to learn.
How do we want to put this on the website? Are you going to have links out? I'm assuming we're going to want two websites now, one that just kind of lists the virtual event as a one page, and then a second one that will be for the EU new dates.
Yes.
And we can link between them, but will you be providing, like, I guess it sounds like you go to YouTube to watch these. I'm not familiar with the process, so I just want to understand content for that.
Right, so let's specifically look at current content. So we have a schedule in Sketch. What we're going to do, this is something that George talked about, is pre-allocate like YouTube live links. And then we're going to, so once you pre-allocate them, you have this link. We can populate each of the Sketch events with that YouTube link. And then between events, we just stop the stream, switch the link, start the stream. And then not only is that pretty easy on like the streamer's end, but it also automatically chops off and like, makes a separate YouTube video once those are done. So as far as like an attendee's perspective, they would still go to Sketch to look at whatever they are going to attend, click that, they would still have the description, and then they click the link that we're going to put in there.
Okay.
So we would need
Deb,
to...
at a bigger level, I think what we're talking about is we will need a place to host. If new contributor track moving forward are always going to be virtual, it means that we'll always probably have a website up, and we'll always have something that says, this is when it is, here's when the next one is, or something like that. And then you'll have the in-person one, because you'll have to host that information at the higher level someplace.
Okay. Well,
I don't know where the right place is, but it's got to be someplace.
Yeah. I was gonna say that probably doesn't make sense to put on the events page, but maybe the CNCF website, or isn't Kubernetes?
So long.
I'm gonna do it, Bob.
Okay.
So we're talking about moving the new contributor workshop virtual only. That is after this instance. Right now, I know that we're talking about two separate things at the same time, so it's kind of confusing. For the purposes of 2 weeks from now, we are doing a virtual new contributor workshop and a virtual current contributor track, with the intent that after we do this new contributor workshop online, we are going to say we're offering it online only, and we're going to do a lot more polish and docs around it. Because the new contributor workshop, once we finish it for this instance, it's getting handed over to mentoring. It's never going to go under events anymore. It is literally like changing ownership in ContribX. So we're just kind of
Got it. Thank you for the explanation.
Yeah.
So we're just doing stopgap for 2 weeks from now, and then moving forward, another group owns it.
Yeah, it's just because like a bunch of us have, a foot in both pools, we're trying to make it easier and like polish the content for that handoff. So eventually, mentoring is going to be the ones scheduling when the new contributor workshops are. They're going to be the ones like scheduling, publishing, handling all of that. It's not going to be under events, and it's not going to be under the Contributor Summit. But for the purposes of we were going to do a new contributor workshop in person, we're kind of like doing a little bit of both. Make sense? We're all on the same page?
Yep.
Cool. Okay, I have nothing else on the agenda. Does anyone have anything they want to talk about? Any concerns so far? There's a bunch to do in a short amount of time. All right, y'all get 15 minutes back. Stay safe. I literally know that I touched my face like 15 times during this meeting and I can't stop, so it's a good thing.
I have a bottle of hand sanitizer right here. Like I always use it. So I literally touch my face and then sanitize my hands and then touch my face again and sanitize my hands. It's ridiculous.
Later, everybody.
Later.
Later.